the Citybird SUV.
Can Chennai return to winning ways? Not a question you get to ask too often, but CSK have lost 2 on the road after starting the season with 2 wins at home. They return to home comforts to face Kolkata Knight Riders, still unbeaten as we start a new week in IPL 2024. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPNcricinfo Timeout. We're in the company of Tom Moody, Mitch McClenaghan and Deepdas Gupta to build up to that game. There's some focus on Ruturaj Gaikwad. He's had a few stellar seasons in the IPL, and now this season started slowly. There's also that added context which we've discussed so often about young Indian captains when they're first given captaincy roles, how that has an effect on their batting. Have you noticed any of that, Tom?
Well, the sample size is 4 innings. We all know he's an extremely good player, and I can't think that the captaincy opportunity has weighed him down in any possible way, because if you look at their season so far, they won their first 2 games at home with him captain, so you'd think that'd give him enormous confidence around the captaincy piece, and that would naturally flow into his batting. I think what we're just seeing with him at the moment is him just having a slow start to the tournament. He'll probably kick into gear, whether it be this clash that's coming up or into the tournament, like any good player will do. So I can't see there's any real, connection between the extra responsibility of leadership.
One of the only numbers which can be highlighted, as per ESPNcricinfo Smart Stats, Ruturaj Gaikwad so far in the power play has a boundary intent of 20%, which is the lowest for any opener so far this season. Is there any correlation at all?
Well, it's got to do with how he's batting, I guess. I mean, he hasn't, he had a fairly decent season, but it's been up and down. Breakout year, 2021, very front foot. Then people started bouncing him. Then he figured out, okay, now I've got to start being more proactive on my back foot or short pitch deliveries. And then so I'm not too sure whether he's able to figure out his game. So leaving aside all the captaincy bit of it, I think he needs to just figure out what his batting is all about.
One slight area of concern for Gaikwad, if you look at the numbers from the start of last season, is the frequency of dismissals to left-arm seamers, which naturally lends itself to that matchup he faces. Mitch Starc, who now has a few wickets to his name, that almost seems like a contest Gaikwad has to be ready for.
Yep. Oh, well, definitely, absolutely. And Mitchell Starc looked better in the last game as well, so he'll be going in with some confidence. He'll know those numbers as well. So yeah, it's how he combats that. Like you said, he was very good off the front foot in that first breakout year. Predicted a little bit more of what the bowler's going to give him to give himself the best opportunity. Particularly if you are out of form, sometimes you do have to premeditate a little bit more. So that might be one way of going about it. But it's a fascinating matchup, isn't it?
KKR, meanwhile, have rediscovered an opener. Sunil Narine is at the opposite end of the boundary intent spectrum. That number is absolute bonkers. Tom, what points to Narine rediscovering this batting form? Is it just bowlers not getting it right, or is there more to it?
He's always been someone that's worked very hard on his batting. There's no question he's taken it very seriously, and he loves batting. I just think that it's more coincidence that all the stars have fallen in line with him, won the opportunity and the freedom to go up and do it again, because there was a period where, he hadn't done it for a long period of time, and every now and then he was thrown up there. So he didn't have the continuity of doing it. I think now that clearly the messaging pre-tournament was, this is where we see your role, go out there and just do your thing and enjoy yourself. And, having got off to such a good start, well, he's got the breeze behind him now, and he's got the runs on the board, so confidence is high.
And KKR had to make that play as well. In 2022, their opening partnership struck at 108, and then in 2023, I think it was around 134, which are not great numbers for your opening partnership in terms of strike rate. So Gautam Gambhir coming back to KKR, that worked when he was there as captain. So you've got to give him some credit for that decision as well.
They also rotated their openers. It was a merry-go-round last season. I think there were 8 opening partnerships.
And predominantly one of them was an overseas player. So you actually block one overseas player there. So suddenly, with him opening, you have option of getting another overseas player in some other position. And quick question to you both, from a player and a coach perspective. Next year, big auction, Does that really matter at all?
What, to a player?
Yeah.
I think every player that's playing in this league will be very mindful of their currency.
So let me just add to that, especially someone like an Andre Russell or Sunil Narine, who are like, kind of.
But they're not exclusive. I think
Yeah.
any young player, player that's in the twilight of their career, I think anyone, the way the cricketing landscape works today is your currency is always fluctuating depending on the tournaments that you're playing, and this is the most important tournament. So if you're performing in the IPL, your currency is very high. Therefore, every player is fully aware that this is the tournament to be taking wickets, scoring runs, and being an absolute dynamo in the field.
Right, but when you consider bowling plans to Sunil Narine, we often discuss that what used to stop him was either swing at the top or bouncers, well-directed bouncers. We haven't seen much of either. Does Deepak Chahar, in that sense, if he gets the ball to swing, hold key for Chennai?
Well, we did see swing in a couple of the games, and we've got to remember that KKR in their last game against Delhi were both the openers were none off 5 or none off 6 balls. So they were swinging and missing. They just didn't get the opportunities. There was a catch which somehow was called byes of Phil Salt early on in that one as well. So look, they definitely bowled up there and gave the ball a chance to swing. I think their radar was just off. And there's still that option of getting Sunil Narine out with swing. But the other thing they need to make sure that they do is they obviously have the right field. Like Sunny hits over the offside, over backward point, you've got to have that man back. There's no point in being anywhere else. And then when you are bowling your bouncer, we're not seeing enough guys cramp his hands. I can handle if Sunny clips you off his ribs for 6 over backward square, because that's not what he wants. He wants to get his hands away from his body, and when he does get his hands away from the body, he can still pull you for 6, but you've got to make sure that he gets no hands in here, and most guys haven't adjusted that line. They're looking at his first line when he starts in his stance, and not predicting where he's going to end up.
Want to give a quick prediction around the room? CSK, KKR, who are you favouring?
I'm fancying KKR. I just think their team balance is very well suited out of any team that visits Chennai with their spin strength.
Yep.
Mitch?
Yeah, I'm going to go KKR as well. They bowl 48% of their bowling to spin, so the only person I think can swing it CSK's way is Shivam Dubey. He's been dynamite against spin, but I don't think he's going to be enough to get CSK across the line.
Well, CSK at home is a different kind of a beast, isn't it? So I'm going to go with CSK at home. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not 3-0 on the panel, but it is 3-0 to KKR, which is already uncharted territory for them. They've never started an IPL season with 3 wins in a row. Can they make it 4? Build up to the game will start just before toss time. Be sure to join us then on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPNcricinfo Timeout.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.